Never too early to talk football season. But before we get to that, we do have to talk traffic and weather. Brianna, with our first look at the roads in just a moment. But Katie, let's talk about that shift in the forecast here.
Yeah, it was 80s yesterday,
right.
Upper 50s today, a lot cooler. And we'll be talking about winter driving conditions this time tomorrow. So a lot going on in the weather department. Let's start with what's happening right now. Good Tuesday morning to you, Colorado. Our next spring storm set to roll in, really pack a punch, bringing in finally some much needed precipitation. Drought conditions have continued to worsen. We are wrapping up the month of March with much cooler temperatures after days of summertime heat. But for this morning, it's mostly cloudy, still pretty mild temperature wise, but our front rolling in, temperatures fall through mid-morning. Our next storm will bring in cooler air, mountain snow, and then scattered rain showers here across the metro area. Best chance for a little more notable rain will be tomorrow evening, but still have the possibility of a few brief showers today. But this morning out the door, temperatures in the mid-40s from Fort Morgan to Boulder, upper 40s in Castle Rock. It will not be a warm day like we saw yesterday, so definitely have the layers on, and the winds have been the gustiest over the northeastern plains as the system moves in. So you see, temperatures falling as the sun comes up. We'll be under a cloudy sky with highs in the upper 50s to just around 60 degrees. Notably cooler, especially across the Denver area and eastern plains. Winds moving in from the north, a little gusty at times, but winter weather advisories have been posted for Colorado's high country. It'll be a slushy snow that we start to see, but the biggest impacts will be tomorrow morning. I'll break down futurecast when your neighborhood is expected to see some of that precipitation, but be prepared today, tomorrow, especially for the western half of the state to see rain and snow over higher terrain. Brianna, how are things though right now on the roads?
Yeah, right now it's looking pretty quiet for your Tuesday morning. Taking a live look of I-25 and Highway 36. Right near that area, we were seeing some construction, some overnight construction. Only one lane was open earlier this morning. It looks like traffic is moving nicely in this area. I'm not seeing any significant delays or crashes to report. So let's switch things over to our main maps, kind of show you what we're dealing with across the metro area. A lot of green up and down 225 from Fort Collins all the way down to Castle Rock. If you're taking I-25, you're not going to come across any significant issues. Southbound I-25 from 144th down to 76, only an 8-minute drive this morning. You still have the green light for anyone up in Fort Collins taking I-25 in both directions, as well as Highway 85 in the Greeley area. No crashes to report, but of course, if anything changes throughout the morning, I will keep you updated.
All right, thank you, Brianna. Developing here overnight, the Associated Press says the U.S. likely hit an Iranian nuclear site.
This all comes as President Trump is still looking to hold talks with leaders in hopes of reaching a ceasefire soon.
Trump is going to move forward unabated, and he expects the Iranian regime to make a deal with the administration.
There have been differing messages as the war drags on, but more American service members are being sent to the Middle East in preparation for an alleged land attack. If the president decides to ultimately put troops inside Iran, he would face backlash from Democrats and some of his own supporters.
We cannot have American troops on the ground in Iran. This is going to be such a risky operation. And for what purpose?
If we're going to do a conventional ground operation with Marines and 82nd Airborne, that is a ground war that I believe Congress should have a say in. We should be briefed on.
Meantime, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his military will widen its ground campaign in southern Lebanon. Israel says it wants a security zone to halt the threat from Iran-backed Hezbollah, but its intensifying operation has raised fears that the area could face a similar fate to Gaza.
Oil prices have gone up since the war began, surging to nearly $116 a barrel. That, of course, means higher prices at the pump for all of us. The Associated Press reports that the average price for gas in the U.S. has climbed above $4 a gallon for the first time since 2022. AAA backs it up, saying the national average for regular gas is $4.02 a gallon, the highest since 2022. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said it's still too early, though, for the central bank to gauge how this conflict, now in its 5th week, will impact the overall U.S. economy and inflation.
Eventually, maybe face the question of what to do here. We're not really facing it yet because we don't know what the economic effects will be.
Banking and financial services analysts say crude oil could climb as high as $200 a barrel if the war continues until the end of June. That would make U.S. gas prices somewhere in the ballpark of $7 a gallon. $7 a gallon. This morning, by the way, Colorado's average price sits at $3.87.
Now, on top of that, JetBlue is now announcing they will be raising fees for checked bags as fuel costs pressure airlines. The airline says it is constantly evaluating how to manage rising operating costs while keeping fares competitive. The new fees range from $4 during off-peak travel periods to $9 during peak periods. No other airlines have announced they're following suit.
In other news headlines this morning, a man will spend decades in prison for killing 2 men in Aurora last summer, and he still faces murder charges in 2 other cases. Ricky Roybal Smith, you see here on your screen, pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for the stabbing deaths of 27-year-old Jesse Schaefer and 61-year-old Scott Davenport. Roybal Smith was on parole at the time of those killings. Yesterday, a judge sentenced him to 80 years in prison. In court, he apologized to the victims' families and said he would one day be held accountable by God.
I will stand before him one day and answer for what I've done and give an account for my life, and I will have to tell him what I've done and how I've destroyed your lives and your families.
Roybal Smith is also accused of killing his cellmate inside the downtown Denver jail about a day after those 2 murders in Aurora, and he's also charged with the 2022 murder of a woman in Inglewood.
Lawmakers in Colorado voted yesterday to rename a state holiday. If it becomes law, it will strip Cesar Chavez's name from the annual March 31st celebration, replacing it with Farm Workers Day. The bill passed with broad bipartisan support following disturbing allegations of sexual abuse against the late labor leader. Democratic House Majority Leader Monica Duran and Representative Lorena Garcia sponsored the bill. They say community members called on them to act.
I hope that survivors and victims see the swift action we took based on the calls we've received, and that they feel heard.
Garcia says the change is about returning honor to the thousands of workers who built the movement, not just one man. Duran, whose family once marched alongside Chavez, called the name change a step toward healing for survivors. The bill is now headed to Governor Polis's desk. If he signs it, it will take effect immediately.
This week, CDOT will start sending out $75 fines for people caught speeding on a stretch of I-25 in northern Colorado. Right now, the agency is giving people warnings for going too fast in the North Express Lanes work zone between Meade and Berthoud. Between March 1st and March 19th, CDOT said over 4,100 warnings were sent out. Fines will start going out this Thursday, April 2nd. Meanwhile, a Steve on your side investigation is prompting a call for change at the state legislature. 2
state senators from opposite sides of the aisle want to update Colorado's speed camera law. In November, we found the town of Kersey disregarding its own rules for photo radar, issuing $340 tickets to drivers clocked going more than 25 over the speed limit. Kersey said the current state law didn't give them guidance on what to do with excessive speeding, so they charged the bigger fine. A new bill would create a fine of $125 for going more than 25 over.
Saying, hey, you went really fast through here, you should get a penalty for this, but we're not trying to make it a criminal charge by being handed out by a machine.
The current state law also says only warnings may be issued for the first 30 days that a system is in operation. Our reporting found Kersey and other communities did not send drivers an actual warning. The new bill would require them to do that. The bill would also clear up how a vendor gets paid. Current state law says they cannot be compensated by how many tickets are issued, but we found one company billing by the hour instead.
A homelessness resource in Jefferson County is back open after it was closed for nearly a year. The Lakewood Navigation Center on West Colfax closed last April for renovations. The city readapted the day service center into a 24/7 overnight shelter. It was supposed to reopen at the end of last year, but construction delays impacted that opening.
The complexity of these projects of buying a facility and renovating it and retrofitting it to provide care for 100 souls nightly takes a lot of renovation. It's more than just new walls and furniture. It also involves increasing the utility support to this building itself.
We also spoke with the mayor, who says conversations about a navigation center in Jeffco began as early as 2018. She says this is the only overnight navigation center of its kind in the county, and another one should open up soon.
1 week and nothing has changed. Cars are still trapped after a parking garage collapsed a week ago. Now the owner of the parking garage has a deadline to take care of it. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon joins us live from there now. And Courtney, you can imagine this is incredibly frustrating for car owners.
Yes, that's right, Corey. We have heard from car owners who are very frustrated right now. No one's allowed inside here because it's just too dangerous, but I want to give you guys a little bit of a closer look here. You can see that big crack in the concrete where it collapsed. There are warning signs all around this parking garage, and there's also an overnight security guard here posted up. Now the city of Denver is requiring the owners to stabilize the structure before people can come get their trapped cars. Sky 9 flew over the parking garage yesterday. Take a look at that. You can see a major split in the concrete where the parking garage collapsed. underneath all of that, 2 cars were crushed. Thankfully, no one was hurt. You can see a lot of cars are still stuck there, which means a lot of people are waiting to get their vehicles back. One person tells us information from the parking garage owners has been sparse and unreliable, leaving them frustrated and unable to make plans. Documents from the city shows the owners were given a deadline of May 29th to get a permit to either repair the parking garage or demolish the damaged areas. The company has until August 28th to get all of that work done. And the city is also requiring this company to get a structural evaluation to ensure that it is safe. If they don't meet these deadlines, there will be penalties. Live in Southeast Denver, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.